Wanted to share that I now have a Patreon. If you like my content and want to keep supporting what I do, you can join up for as little as $5 and get a couple of really cool perks, including exclusive video content that I will be producing just for Patreon. And then even if you're not a Patreon, you can actually buy the digital files for the playmats I designed. Link for the Patreon will be down below in the shop, and let's get into the video.
Hello everybody, my name is Connor and I am here with Blue Yellow Ace versus Red Yellow Sabo. So this was a fun game we played after our Treasure Cup game, and I thought this game was just a good game. I had fun. I mean, I think my opponent kind of got unlucky with their hand, but you know, seeing Blue Yellow Ace do okay is always nice. And also just a chance to use the Ace Dawn that I made with my Ace deck seems pretty solid. So I end up swinging 5 with lead here because I'm thinking like this is a pretty solid turn to peel off, get some more cards in my hand, and he ends up taking the 5, playing down the rush. The rush. There's a lot of rush in his deck, but that is not one of them. The blocker Sanji, and yeah, I peel off and pass turn. Getting no baby characters in my hand. I only have one baby Luffy, but my hand is filled with Luffys. So he swings 5, and I end up taking it and get another baby Luffy, which is definitely a bummer. But you know, some baby Luffys is better than no baby Luffys, I guess. So my opponent is thinking about what he wants to do, and I'm thinking I can counter out of most stuff. I have a lot of big Luffys in my hand, and he ends up swinging 5 with lead, and I do give him the starter deck Luffy, and then he taps 3, brings out the Rush Zoro, and swings 6, and I give him the Satori we got. And then we end up getting Garp off the top of our deck, which is pretty nice. I'm hoping to be able to find something with that, but we go ahead and leader ability, and we don't get any Luffys, which is a bummer. So looking at my hand, I'm trying to figure out, is it worth taking any of it? And I do have the Viola blocker, which is nice, so I end up putting Ace at the top of my life, not at my deck, and bottom decking the rest. And I think I end up playing Viola and Garp. I don't know if it would have been better for me to play Garp and try and find the baby Ace before swinging, but I swing 7 into the Sanji, and he lets him go. And I guess it wouldn't have been better because Ace doesn't get the rush, so I think this is probably the best play that I had. I probably am wrong, but we end up searching with Garp, and we find no babies, just big brothers here, and I am torn between the Ace and the Luffy. That 5-cost blue Ace is a blocker, which is really nice, but seeing as I have some baby Luffys in my hand, I do decide to go with a big Luffy, so I can, ideally, if there's a way that I can put them into life, I can immediately capitalize off of it. So that was, I think, my thought process there. And yeah, I really love playing this deck. This deck is so fun. Even when I get whooped, I'm like, well, you know, it was a gamble. So my opponent goes ahead and swings 7 with Zoro into life, and I think I just go ahead and take this one. I'm trying to decide, seeing how his hand or his Dawn is separated, I'm thinking there's another couple of swings coming at me, and I'm thinking there's another, you know, Zoro potentially, and he ends up just swinging a lot at me, so much that I can't count that much. 7, 8, 9, I think. And I'm trying to decide if I want to take that or if we want to block. And I'm going to take, and then I say, no, like, I think I need to block this. And then leader ability, he buffs the Hiyori to 2 and puts Zoro in his life. So he ends up passing turn, and we top deck. I think we top decked an ace, if I remember. That was 2 seconds ago. You can't expect me to remember that. Baby ace, if I'm not mistaken. So now we get a little bit of an option, but we are not. We just whiff, which definitely happens with this deck. So I'm not surprised. But it's definitely a bummer. And so I think at this point I'm thinking, okay, we can play ace down and make sure we see something next turn, which I guess, no, if I did it this turn I wouldn't have had enough dawn because I have 5 dawn left. So I'm thinking blocker ace, he'll put a blocker on board, and I'll be able to, you know, draw 2 cards, see what I get, which we get some counter cards, and now I get to decide how do I want to put my cards. I'm thinking about rush ace, especially because we do have the baby ace. But we also have baby Luffy. I'm thinking about putting Boa and ace because they don't have counter. Make it so I draw into Boa and then ace is in the search, but I actually end up putting a Luffy there just so that I have, I think, an option to swing with, and at this point I have 3 life, so I can't get the rush ace benefit. So I'm thinking that's my thought process there. Granted, this was like 3 days ago, so who knows what I was thinking. So my opponent attaches one Dawn to his leader, and he's separating his Dawn. I'm definitely a little nervous about what's coming out, especially for 4 Dawn there. That's 4 Dawn is a number I don't want to see, and I'd like to keep my ace, my blocker ace alive for a bit at least, especially because I know that there's a good chance my opponent's running Kid and Killer. But on the flip side, I'm gonna set up an ace next turn, so it's a little bit of a tough choice. But my opponent swings 6, I counter out with Flampe, and the unblockable Luffy. So I end up kind of having to take that, and thankfully I do, because we get the Gravity Blade, and we send that to the bottom of his deck, kind of just negating the leader ability that was about to happen. I feel like that really helped us out. But we draw into that ace that we set up top, and we know that we have baby Luffy. There's not much on the board that I would want to get rid of, but we are seeing a lot of our big bodies, and we actually see another rush ace, which is pretty nice. I'm checking to make sure, because I know baby Luffy and baby ace look really similar. So, checking to make sure. Maybe I should alt out the baby aces so I can really tell the difference. But we put those at the bottom. And we tap 2 for the baby ace. There he is in all his adorable glory. And we bring out big ace, pumping our leader up to 2, making him a 9, I think, with the Dawn attached. And counting how much Dawn I have left, I have 5 Dawn left, so I'm thinking we swing 7 here. And my opponent takes, which is awesome for me. And then we swing another 7, I'm thinking at this point. Yep, another 7 there. And he gives us 2 cards to counter out of, because we've got the 9 coming at him, and he ends up taking. And I don't know if I missed it, but I know my opponent had a pretty rough life situation, just not a lot of counter in his hand. And I think that, my deck, hitting like it did definitely works in my favor. But my opponent, I think this turn from my opponent is like so well done, and I'm excited to show you guys. But yeah, so my opponent plays down the Rush Zoro, tapping 3 of his Dawn, and then he taps 4 to play Kid and Killer. And I'm like, okay, that's gonna be 7. He can't swing 7 with lead, and 7 was Zoro, so we're chilling. I'm fine. He swings 7 at ace, and I go ahead and I give him the Luffy counter. And then he ends up swinging. He puts 1 Dawn on, trying to decide if he wants to swing more. I'm looking at his hand, and he ends up swinging 7, and I'm like, he can't leader it. He can't get Zoro up to 7 now, but he does, and I was like, oh, that's right. So he leader abilities, puts Kid and Killer in his life, swings 7 at my ace, and I counter out, and he swings 8 at ace there, and I go ahead and block with my ace. I'm thinking, okay, I can. There's potential for game, I believe. And we do have some Luffys, some baby Luffys in our hand. So I'm definitely a little nervous, but I'm feeling okay for the most part. And I could play Garp down. I could drop Boa. But I do end up searching. We get a Luffy, a Pilaf, another Luffy, and Satori, and we put Luffy up top. Luffy will be able to pop, I believe Luffy can pop Zoro, and we get that buff. So we tap 2, playing down our Luffy and bringing out Luffy, and we do actually end up getting called to our next match. But yeah, that is game. I was able to take it. My opponent, as I said, his life not giving him a lot of triggers, but it's okay. You will see I play my opponent again, and he gets his immediate revenge. I'm excited to talk about the game that I play my opponent actually in a Treasure Cup. We will be going over most of the games where in my recent Treasure Cup run where I placed 6th, and I was so close to getting a Perona. I lost to the fine gentleman I played in this video. He was not playing Red Yellow Sabo, but he was playing something else spicy. The man cooks. So he's actually the master chef behind the Yellow Yamato video I did a couple of months ago. But I'll shut up now. That is gonna do it for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked this video, hit that like button down below. It helps me out more than you could ever know. Go ahead and subscribe if you are new. And I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.